Okay, so let's get started today. So I have a couple of announcements. The first announcement is this Thursday, I will not be here. I will be in Canada. So I'm so sorry about the class missing, but I'll be right back where we started. I'll be right back home. Everything will go back to normal on the 31st. And another announcement is that the PortraitStudio sale has been extended to the 31st. So for those who are waiting for the end of the month payments or something like that, I've extended it for you guys. I posted a video announcement on it. So please go watch that announcement so you guys can get it. And then the final announcement is the character design Circus of the Absurd challenge is due next week Tuesday. I will not extend it. Last year we did an kind of like a Christmas themed challenge, which was really fun. You guys should go catch that video. It was the most beautiful little elf designs you could imagine. So we gave every elf their own little tasks. So there was a tinkerer elf and an animal tamer elf, and everyone designed their elves based on their jobs. So we did a little critique for that. So this year I'll do something very similar, more character design, more fun stuff. But as soon as November hits, that's it. No more Halloween. That's it. All right. It's my favorite time of the year because it's just like a crash course on all of the American festivities ever. I mean, July 4th doesn't compare to all of this. Okay. So this final half of the year is like my favorite, and I really like to just get right into the festivities and pose challenges that are nice and fun and get everyone together. I'm sorry if you don't celebrate Halloween or if you're in another part of the world. But you can still celebrate it online. You're still part of a big online population. And then the final little announcement is I have made a couple changes on my Patreon. And I promoted it early on the channel when I made it, but it's been out for 2 years now. And all the patrons that I do have are just from whoever watches the old videos or whoever found me on their own. But I'm promoting it now, and we have a new goal of 1,000 patrons. I know it's very ambitious and it's a long shot, but I think we can do it. And it's for the support of the community, to keep the community running, to free up my time for the community, which is a very big thing that I'm struggling with. Finding time for all the challenges, finding time to even make the challenge resources. So if you guys want to be one of the supporters, of course, there's no specific price tier you have to be in. It could be the lowest price tier. And if you have the resources, it could be the highest price tier. But I'm pretty much just promoting the lowest price tier at the time. And so yeah, if you want to be a part of the Patreon community, I have rewards out every single month. But those are for the higher tier. There's all kinds of video time-lapse. There's brush sets that I design, prototype brushes that I give out to my patrons every single month. There is all kinds of extra little, just like insights and stuff that I don't really share with everyone, and I share with my patrons mostly. So if you guys want to be a part of it, of course, it is not mandatory. So many people have asked me, and I've had to straighten it out. You do not have to be a patron to join the community once and for all. The community is free for everyone. You post your art. All these arts that I've chosen today, all these pieces of art, are from people who just join randomly on the community that I feel like, looking at their art and seeing if any theme comes up between their work. It is not, being a patron does not promise you ahead of the line if you want your stuff critiqued. That's not what it does. Though it might be a price tier that I add later on, something like 30 and above. It might allow some people to buy in certain critique hours. I would call it the patron critique hour or something like that. But of course, please remember that you don't have to be a patron in order to join the community. It is free, absolutely free resource for everyone. My classes are a free resource for everyone. So it's pro bono, absolutely, and it is fully available to everyone. I don't really censor my knowledge or anything like that. I don't hold back knowledge based on Patreon videos. I release every single Patreon video at the end of every year. So around January or late December, you guys are going to see 12 videos come out of nowhere, and it'll be all the Patreon videos from this year. Of course, all the patrons got them as they come out at the end of every month, but I know it's a really, really ambitious goal, 1,000 patrons, but I kind of think about it as $1 each, which is not that scary, but still 1,000 patrons. But over time, I've had it for 2 years. I imagine in the next 5 years, it'll probably hit 1,000 patrons, maybe more, because all I've really in the 2 years that it's been out, all I've made is like 51 patrons. But I think they divide differently, and they do bring in quite a bit for the community. So if you guys want to, there's that. And so did I cover everything? Thursday I won't be here. So sorry about that. I have to go to Canada, parents and all that. And the community challenge, if you guys want to join it, just have fun. Even if all you do are sketches, I might be able to still look at them. And for this challenge, me and my mods will all get on mic. So Abu and Taurus and Tommy and Izam, if he's available, we'll all get on mic together, and we'll just talk about the designs and all of that. Again, I'm not an authority on the creative journey. I'm just as much, I struggle with creativity as you guys. So that's why I need assistance for that critique hour, because everyone brings in their own unique input, and the spirit of this challenge is that you're just bringing the most random themes and marrying them and seeing what you design. So it's kind of pushing your creativity as far as possible. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to join it. I have had zero time to join it. But you know, here's hoping that in the future, at least for the Christmas season, I'll try to join those challenges. I'll try to have 2 challenges for the Christmas season instead of 1, because last year we only had 1, running from November to December. But we might have one for November and another one for December. But I have to put that together and find the time to put in a resource. The last couple challenges haven't had resources, which is a bit sad. I like giving you guys something to reference with. Some people kind of derail and do their own thing. I was as specific as I could be with this challenge, but I'll try to bring in a resource pack next time. It just takes time for me to compile a resource pack and write up a full PDF for you guys, but I'll try to open up my time for that. And then the sale it's final on the 31st. So the challenge is due on the 31st, and the sale ends on the 31st. The update comes out on the 1st. And then I wanted to show you guys, I think by the end of class, Eva will be able to give me it, show you guys the mannequins. So they're fully done and they're completed. Our modeler is actually right there. He's a mod, Fazagen, right there. That's our special little tinkerer. And I wanted to show you guys what the mannequins look like. So by mannequin, I mean you just have to like go on Amazon and look up art mannequin. It's exactly like that, fully posable. And anyone who currently has a PortraitStudio version, your version is going to update. I mean, a PortraitStudio copy, whoever bought it, you're automatically going to get the update. If the update doesn't come right away, it might be because the servers are a little bit slow. We might have to update our server subscription. But if we have to, we'll just do that on the November 1st or the 31st. We'll see about sending it out on the 31st at the end of the day on the 31st after I close the sale. As for how high the PortraitStudio will spike after the sale, I have been really seriously contemplating whether or not there will be a price spike. A lot of people have been able to access PortraitStudio as a resource only because I brought it down. And because this is a free resource for everyone, I don't feel comfortable charging so much, almost double what the current price is. So I might have it the same price it was before the update or a little bit lower. I don't feel comfortable charging so much. I've had a lot of time to think about it, especially because so many people really want to support us. And some people do, even though it's so out of their price pocket. Or their pocket limit, price pocket limit. I don't know. Their resource capacity. So don't worry, you've been heard, I promise you. And my channel, like I said in the announcement, is small enough that I have control, and then I could keep as many people as happy as possible. It's not so big that I'm this like faceless business or something like that. I hope I never end up being like that. So thank you for listening to the announcements. Let's get into the paintovers. Okay, let's see which one we're starting with. I think I'm going to start with a 14-day challenge and then move into these pieces here. Let me get my glasses. Any questions at all? Yeah, at the end of class? Okay, hopefully we get one at the end of the class. Can we upload multiple sketches of different designs? Yes, you can, but also it has to be on the same post. Please don't post single sketches one by one. They will be deleted one by one. That floods the wall, and there are a lot of members. One day we're going to hit 10,000 members on this community. We have to keep it controlled, so please respect the rules. They're only there not to hurt you or anything, but they're just there to keep order so that we don't like lose track and mods don't end up having to deal with so many posts. As it gets bigger, I'll try to bring in more mods, but our mods are working really hard to make sure everyone gets accepted, all the posts and entries get accepted, and the rules are followed. Yes, time to become a patron for 1 cent a month. 1,000 cents for me? Do they need to be digital? No, they don't have to be digital. They can just be sketches and concepts. I will be prioritizing fully completed paintings over sketches, though. So just keep that in mind. I will prioritize the fully painted versions. PortraitStudio on Mac. PortraitStudio is going to be rushed development for Android, so an app. So you guys will be able to run it with your tablets or whatnot, taking screenshots, saving. All of that will be rushed for Android first. Mac software and Mac app is a possibility, but it is not currently in development. So I'm not going to lie to you. I try to be as transparent as possible. I, in my own way, have tried to boycott Mac and anything that has to do with Mac. I think Mac is just a big lie. In essence. But I know that there are a lot of users who are stuck with their Mac, so I do want to make it a possibility that PortraitStudio will be available for Mac, but I think it'll be available for Mac as an app first before the software. But we are going to be rushing Android right after this update. We're going straight into Android, which should be pretty easy because we already have the project. It's just going to be about input and then just whatever we have to change in our programming. Whether or not apps can even run the models and their poly count, I'm really not sure about that. All right, let's get started. Thank you for the questions. I'm going to take questions at the end of the class. If you do have a question, at Istebrak me and I'll be able to find the question for you. So let's get started on this piece. We have, these eyes are really, really spaced apart. And when that happens, I mean, you're on day 13. So when you're having this kind of issue on day 13, you got to step back and try to find what it was that made you delay this correction so long over 13 submissions. So I'm not sure who didn't pick it up. I'm not sure if you even, if you got the critique and you decided to ignore it, do not ignore this. When you're meeting someone or looking at them, sorry, 1 second, I'm just going to have some tea. Yeah, so when you're meeting someone and you're speaking to them, you're pretty much looking at the eyes. And they're probably, if their eyes are working properly, they'll be looking at you too. So this is a very, very big component in the viewer's relationship with the painting. If you break this, then everything just looks off. Now, this is something you can use when you're trying to make it feel like someone's possessed or someone is out of touch somehow or psychic or blind. You can choose to throw off the focus. So this is a very, very big tool that you can use in the design of a character. All right, so just take a look. I'm going to zoom out so you guys can get the full impact. Do you see how spaced out they were? I kind of lowered the septum just a little bit. This is a very big problem. And I've covered this so many times. I don't expect everyone to watch every single video I make, which is why I try to repeat myself as much as possible. But I've covered this so many times in nearly every single eye video, nearly all the form study critiques that I've done. 14-day challenge critiques that I've done. So I name them. So if you're currently doing a 14-day challenge and you're having all these questions and you have no idea, most likely 90% chance I've covered that already in a 14-day challenge video. Now let me show you how to get to that. So I'm just gonna go to YouTube. Okay, damn it, YouTube, and I'm gonna go to my channel. All right, there we go. I'm going to drag that there, throw that away. You go to videos and just write the word challenge in the search, okay? 14-day challenge, 14-day challenge, 14-day challenge. Most likely I have answered all of these questions in these questions in the 14-day challenge video. So please, please take some time to find these. The How to Paint Eyes video, I talk about it. This 14-day challenge submission. So there's probably no concept I've covered more than the 14-day challenge on my website. And there aren't questions that I get more than 14-day challenge questions. Lately, the books have been more. People have been asking about my books more than the 14-day challenge. But anyway, I've covered it a lot, and I've answered a lot of these questions. I've talked about why shadows need to focus more towards the lower half of the face. I've answered all the lighting questions, all the form questions, all the anatomy questions, all the referencing questions, any question that you might have about successfully completing this challenge. Now, I have the community available for you guys to get your critiques, but you have to do some research as well. This is a massive mistake that you've skipped, and it's taken you 13 tries. I'm really not sure how I'm interpreting it. Is this a 1, or is this like a symbol or something? If this is day 13, you've delayed it way too far. Okay. So then we have a couple of shadow errors here, just a couple of shadow issues. The first one, actually I'm going to start with the head shape. I'm going to try to close off this side of the head a little bit more. Okay. So what I'm doing here is I'm making the square shape. Remember that the face is an oval, a big long oval of clay, and you got like a knife or a little piece of floss, and you kind of just, you can use floss to carve away at clay. You kind of just cropped off these two sections, so you end up getting a square shape on either side of this long oval. That means that we've got to flatten it out. If we do this, if we kind of just make it too bulbous, we're throwing off the shape completely. And remember, there are tropes that this is going to be projected against. If you give a girl a big sized egghead, she's going to be interpreted as a big egghead. So it's like a nerd or some sort of like pencil neck character. Trust me, I know these are stereotypes, but you have to meet them. They've already been established and made concrete by all kinds of media. So basic squared head really goes towards making the character look more beautiful and less like a trope of any kind. Also, it takes care of the anatomy. Good job on the neck. I'm just making it a little bit more symmetrical. So before, after, just more squared, less triangular, more general. And the next thing I'm going to do is just lighten the sides here. They have no business being that dark or as dark as the lower half of the face. And then I'm going to ease up on this cheekbone light right here. Too much shadow. And you'll see why in a second. Because the lower half of the face is the part that's supposed to have all of this shadow kind of just collecting towards the end. So what I'm going to do is grab like one of the shadows over here, get on darken, lower my opacity, and then just darken towards the lower half. It's called a beard shadow, and it's just because it sits above the mouth line, just like that. Then we do have exceptions to this shadow, which are the blocks here and there of any area that exits this beard shadow, which are basically this snout-like projection of the upper lip, catching light. So these are called the light spots. I've talked about them before. It's okay if they feel odd or awkward. You're supposed to be blocking them in because there is a very specific line here. Not an edge. It's not as edged up as the nose is, but it's definitely there, and that's how we block it in. Also, you don't want to overuse soft brush too much. And then we've got the chin here. That is protruding and catching some light, but in no way is it the same value as the cheekbone. So take a look at the cheekbone and then the chin, but it's still a light spot among all that shadow. So remember, relative values, write that back to me. Elevations inside a dark area, even though they are the elevations, they are the dark of the light area. So that means that if I grab this highlight, which basically looks like any other highlight you chose, and put it beside, look at that. It's practically a shadow in this neighborhood. So you've got neighborhoods, and the neighborhoods are defined by whether or not the surface area looks at the light or looks away. So even though it looks light here, it's still dark over there, and that's good. That's what you want. You don't want to get this entire color in all its glory and put it over here. It will look like paint. And then you've got that problematic, and I'm only critiquing this because the person I think is on day 13. So if you do have, or almost, or if you're done or are almost done, or are almost done your 14-day challenge, I will look at it in class. All right, that's kind of the reward for people who actually finish it up. And if I haven't caught your 14-day challenge, message me on Facebook with it. Give me a shout out on it. If you're on the Discord, let me know, and I'll try to get in touch. So over here, I'm just blending away at the lower half of the eyebrow. Too much light there. This whole area is a recessed socket, except for the fat of the hooded eye. So you've used some really, really white pigment here for the upper eyelid, which you get away with because women wear makeup. So you got like a built-in excuse for why you've gotten away with this, but I'm going to throw one large shadow here. I'm doing this because the forehead we should not use the value for the forehead anywhere near the eye except for the sparkles in the eye, okay? And then you've got this L shape that you're missing. So we need this L shape to help define. The eyebrow is part of two major sections of the face, the eyebrow bone and the eyebrow. Let me change the mode. RGB. Don't flatten. All right, so what do I mean by that? The eyebrow is, let's draw a line for where the temple starts, right there. All right, that's that far quarter of the half. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4 quarters. This eyebrow is in both of these regions. So that means that this onward is all shadow. This onward is all shadow. This inward is all part of the front-facing 2 quarters of the face. And then, of course, we've got that. And that's what I was talking about earlier when I was trying to say you get a sphere and then you get that piece of floss and you you crop it away. You crap it off. And then you ended up with this. All right, so that's that perfectly flat section, and that's where the eyebrow sits. So I know I could have just said do the M shape, which is this M shape, or this like little bird shape if you just tilt your head, but I want to explain why. I want to just, make sure that I've exhausted all of my voice explaining why this eyebrow needs to be both in and out of this core shadow. When the eyebrow is over defined like this, you're just completely drawing a whole different eyebrow from a whole different light environment that isn't respecting the one that your character is in, which is not optimal. So did I deselect, or am I still? Yeah, I'm still good. Crap it off. Write that back to me. No, don't write it back. Don't write it back, please. So I'm drawing that M shape right here, making sure I don't have any extended kind of highlights that don't belong in that area. And I'm also letting that M move all the way down. The cheekbones, against popular belief, or how do I say that? Don't extend all the way up here. That's not how the cheekbones work. Okay, it's just whatever faces forward is what's getting the light, period. No, stop writing it back to me. Maybe that's how I should teach you guys. When I do verbal fumbles like that, maybe that's how you guys will remember. I don't know if I was a good teacher. I try everything. If that helps you remember, then just crap it off. Remember the crapped off part, okay? Now what I'm going to do is, you see this path of light right here, this on switch? I'm just going to basically, first of all, this little shadow here is actually a little bit lower. I'm going to block in the highest point of this hooded fat here under the eyebrow. Just take a look at that. Suddenly the face is speaking volumes, just volumes. You don't need these super white contrasted areas here in the eyes, all you need is just that intense white, that reflective, water, oily white that sits on the eyes. Just like that. And that's too big. I've talked a lot about how the specularities in the eye shouldn't be too big. They should actually be really, really small. So let me just try that right now, show you. When you make them big, you have that cartoony infection, which I think is an infection, because anything that deviates too far outside of what you're seeing in a reference, especially a 14-day challenge, it's just, I see it as not an intentional thing. I see it as, yeah, the student will say they intended this style, but I just see it as a manifested infection in your visual library. You are, like, if you wanted to shake off that style, you wouldn't be able to, because it's actually embedded. At that point, you don't really have power, and when someone says style, they actually mean something that they have power over. That's a style, something that you have power over, something that you command, something that you formulated. So that's why I think anything that stems from anime or cartooning, I use a lot of anime and cartoony influences from Studio Ghibli to Studio Ghibli in my sketches. But I again, don't let those transfer over, because if it does, at that point you are at the mercy of this bad habit, and that's why I see it as an infection. So I lowered these whites really, really small, and then I'm going to follow up. Don't worry, they're really small, but I'm going to follow up with that haze, which is the reflectivity haze, that bounce back of the light. Just like that. Okay, so I'm going to keep that at that. I'm going to leave that alone, and I'm going to continue blocking around the face. These specularities will enlarge as we go if they need to, but they should not be so big. I'm going to borrow some of the light off the nose, because this, like a solar panel, is facing in the same direction as that nose tip. But for just a moment, it's not continuous, and that's why I'm blocking that in, so that it kind of lets that nose come out. I'm going to do the same thing over here. Let the shadow there and there. Okay. And then there's the nostrils, which are way too small. Don't worry about this, I'll blend it away. And I'm just going to get my blending brush, the smudging brush on scatter. It's the number 4. And I'm going to start blending away at the nostrils. You've decided on one specific area for the nostrils, but the nostrils are everywhere under the nose. The nostrils are anything that is not the nose folded on itself. The nostrils are like this continuous cavity all the way into. But you've kind of like just designated the nostril as just being this one spot, which is not how you should be drawing the nose. So there's the feathering. I haven't brought in the darkest dark, and then there's this really, really important edge here. A lot of you miss this edge, and considering that this artist also missed the focal point and missed the edge of the nose, you really need to go back and watch some kind of like focused nose tutorial, do some focused nose studies, do some focused eye studies. You probably need to try your 14-day challenge all over again. But it's okay. It's okay. Trust me. A lot of people, they want the truth to be told to them so they can improve. So see this as an opportunity for you to improve and nip in the bud whatever you had going on before. So just with an edge, the nose is already starting to read. And then we've got the lighten. And you see this line? When the car driving on the hill starts to go down, that's when the light can start seeing it. Imagine the light as a camera. And this is the hill. The car is driving. As soon as the car starts to disappear, that's when the light can see the car less and less. The camera can no longer see the car driving on top of the hill. I know that's like a kindergarten way of explaining it, but I swear to God you won't forget it now. So I'm just doing this and just stopping the shadow. So what I mean by that, the car is the light, the car is the contour line, and the camera is the light. And that means that after a certain line, the camera or the light can no longer see the inside of the object, which is the contour. Sorry about my voice today. It's just completely gone. Too many glasses. Okay. And then after we try to maximize as much form as possible just with our edge work, good contour lines, and just, you know, good stuff, good anatomy and all that, with really, really moderate grays, no extreme contrast, then we can bring in the contrast, which goes a little something like this. I've covered this 101 times. I don't mind covering it again, but as long as I know that you guys are using the resources, if I got those videos out and I have to, and I see these issues still, I don't mean to say everyone should be watching my videos, but if you're trying my challenge, which is the 14-day challenge, I expect that you watched at least one 14-day challenge critique hour and jotted down whatever you needed. You want to succeed. You're spending 14 attempts at the same face. So you just put in some time to finding what the rules are, and critiques that I've offered already, full-on lessons about the anatomy of the face. So they are at your disposal. This resource is available for you guys, and I want to see that you guys are taking advantage of that. God knows how long we're going to have YouTube for. Okay. So I brought in that shadow radially, which means that I slowly descended into the dark with 100%, it was like 5% opacity and 100% color, which is full black, which we're allowed to do because we're using grayscale. But when we're working with color, you're going to have to radially descend using purples, and it's going to be a little bit more complicated with color. I've already done a video on that, so don't ask me for one. But I'm like, oh, well, no, one of them is a Patreon video, so never mind. But you'll be able to see it in January. Lots of sculpting videos in there from this year. There's a lot of ZBrush stuff. Okay. So I think we need a little bit more black around the nose. That's fine. All right. So again, radially, mid-tones, low opacity, and I'm just gradually stepping into the black as my brush shrinks. That's because the nose gradually becomes a cavity. Eventually your finger won't go up there anymore. Oops. Okay, and then just making sure that this little cavity here. And as for when the nose stops, so the nose, I'm going to get lighten layer here on low opacity. The nostril stops like right there. That's where the nostril stops. If your nostril is stopping down here, that doesn't make any sense. All right, so we're limiting here the stretch of that nostril base. You're supposed to be defining where it is because it does wing in just a little bit. There's the slightest little whisper of value just down here to show where the base of that nostril is, just like that. And of course we do that radially. I'll zoom out in a second. I'm only zoomed in because I don't know how much you guys can see, but I'll zoom out and adjust as I go. Whenever you bring in any kind of high impact value change, anything new like an outline that we just did, any kind of weird new zoning change or something like that, you zoom right back out and assess the impact. All right. So I'm not looking at the comments. I'm so sorry if you're saying at Istebrak. I'm not reading them just yet. I don't know how many latecomers came in, but I look at the chat, the questions at the end. Okay. And then the cast shadow. It should start dark and end light always. Cast shadows start dark and end light. Write that back to me. Even a candle, even a weird little laser spotlight, eventually it will taper. There's no such thing as a light that is as strong as it started. That would have to be some sort of like high energy nuclear blast or something like that. Every light is weak. Every light weakens because the rays disperse. They no longer behave as one. They disperse. Too much space ends up being between them all, and then they eventually dim out. They don't end up illuminating our sky. Unless you have like millions of stars pointing their light at us and everything else. Okay, and then I'm going to just clean up this cast shadow now. Letting that cast shadow sit a little bit lighter. The cast shadow sits on the light part of the face, that snout that's looking up. So it should not be some sort of like super dark Hitler mustache. Please don't do that. You guys want to hear a funny story? A long time ago, about like a year ago, I used to say the Hitler mustache, cast shadow of the nose, don't draw it. And I had a German student, and I was trying to like find ways to explain it to him after I said it because I regretted saying it. And it reminds me now of that Faulty Towers episode. Whenever he was near the Germans, he would mumble, "Don't mention the war, don't mention the war." So now I've been so careful of calling it the Hitler mustache, but it's only to deter students from using it. But I never did that again. Every time I had a German student book with me, I reminded myself. And he was so quiet, poor guy. I thought that maybe somebody said it only because he's German. I just felt so bad. And I love all my German students. I just love to hear them talk. Like, I sometimes just ask them questions, like, just start talking. I love their accent. Oh my God, I love it. But unfortunately, I can't use that example for a bad nose shadow. Okay, another big ass problem in this is this little cartoon shadow right over here. And by cartoon shadow, I mean that it is not this wide. So let's look. The first brush stroke is undetectable if you're using low opacity like a normal person. So low opacity, full black, or dark enough. The full brush stroke is undetectable, but you need it. The second brush stroke is almost undetectable. You also need it. And as you go down, that's how you radially shade around lips. You don't just draw a tiny little microscopic halo here and there and expect that to read. That's not how this radial shading technique works. It's a way to create as if it's a whirlpool of flesh before the mouth becomes a cavity. And that's what you guys need to do. So you have to edit the radial values after you draw them. They don't just stay in the same perfect circle that you drew them in. And you'll see what I mean by that cartoony lip. It's just this lip that we all draw, This little bit right here, this little line, and this little, even though you do this cartoony, even though you bring in radial shading, you're still following the cartoony outline. So just don't do that. You need to show a full sculpting down into, right now the nose is a dark spot than the eyes, which is a big problem. I'll take care of that in a second. But, yeah. I'm just doing the darkest dark now. They'll all be too dark compared to the eyes, which I've left for last. And then we eventually, sometimes the dark spot turns into a line, just like so. But yeah, don't draw the Hitler stash, guys. It's just a simple little shadow. For all my German students, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry I've zoned you out. I really don't mean to. Hitler is a universal like symbol now. He's just like a universally known and famous character. So he's a character. He's not even a person anymore. There you go. So I'm so sorry that I have to mention him. All right. And when it comes to lips, we have light, dark. So we've got light upper lip, dark lower half of upper lip, light lower lip, dark lower half of the lower lip. It's not as complicated as I just made it sound. It's just two cylinders stacked on each other. And this is a lot of stuff to be missing by day 13. And I know everybody wants a critique from me, but I'm doing that just now. I'm doing it for you. For anyone who's day 1 right now, I am doing your critique as well. The fact that I'm covering this one means that you probably, most surely, you're not that different, made these mistakes as well. So please watch the 14-day challenge critiques I have out there for you guys. I spend time on those. My voice is cracking. I'm an old lady. So please just, have mercy on an old lady and go watch my videos. All right. So any questions at all about this critique? I'll probably take this one separate from the other ones. So now I'm going to throw in that little cheek shadow back. Try to get a realistic version of that. And then I'm going to darken the darkest darks of the eyes all the way down to black. The problem with them is that you've got this really non-circular shape going on, which I probably have to adjust with Liquify. I'm so sorry about my voice. Patrick says, I will ask my German friend to send an audio to me so I can blackmail Istebrak. Honestly, if you want to make me weak in the knees, you just have to have a German accent. Oh my lord. It's just so perfect. It's like so like masculine, you know? I'm gonna stop. It's so perfect. Alright, so perfect shape right here. And then perfect shape right there. But yeah, my German students out there, I'm just using you for your accent. I don't actually care if you guys improve or not. I'm joking. Watch someone use that, the soundbite or something. Alright, next up we have stuff that is wet, stuff that is oily, stuff that is reflective because it is wet and shiny. So we start off with the nose, move into the waterline, just like that. And then we've got the wetness of the eye here, welling up at the lower half. She still kind of looks spaced out, but compared to where she was before, I think this is an improvement. Then we've got the pigmentation of the lash line. That's a big one. And once we take care of the lash line, which should be thin, a weak artist does a thick lash line. Write that back to me. That's what I look for. Remember how I told you guys how I measure kind of the level, the skill level of an artist I look at? I look at this fold. If it's missing, this artist is pretty much still very, very close to a beginner. Definitely not moved into intermediate or advanced. And those are just very, very vague tiers that I have, by the way. And I look at this lash line, this thickness of this lash line. The thicker it is, the more form they're trying to hide, the weaker the art looks. So a thick lash line, it means a weaker artist. Write that back to me. So I'm going to lighten this, make it turn into a shadow of the eyelash line instead of the lash line. Sorry, I'll take the questions in a second. If I haven't looked at them or if they've scrolled up, just ask them again as soon as I'm done the lash line. Abu, if I forget to look at the questions, just walk over to my office and kick me. Alright, so I've lightened the shadow on the eyeball coming off the lashes, and I've done that because the eyeball is white and the cast shadow belongs to the eyeball now. And then I'll do the thickness for the lashes with a thick line. Just a thin little line of soft brush to represent the thickness of the lashes. I don't draw lashes. I barely draw lashes, and that's just because lashes are very line-like. They don't really behave. And that's because they have, if they're drawn as lines, even as a kind of like inferred texture, they still demand too much attention. And they want to be the focal point, so just deny them that. I'm talking about them like they're really a person. Alright, I'm making the shape of the eyes a little bit more circular. And I'm going to bring down the whole eye structure on the eyeballs because you had way too thick a lash line. Way too thick. So this whole section, you see what I'm doing? I'm going to bring it down. Downtown. Alright, so bloop, 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 bloop. And you'll see the before and after is quite a change, but all the changes were done while you guys were watching. There was no magic, no hocus pocus, no finger snapping, no virgin sacrifice to Baal. Alright. So I kind of brought that down on the eyes just like that because they were a bit too open. And I brought them down just like so. And this is starting to read as a little makeup line or something like that. So I'm just going to ease that up. that M shape, I'm just going to connect some of this M shape upward into there. That lash line is getting to be a little bit troublesome. I might just lighten the start, just like so. And that little anchor for the shape of the eyeball, just like that. So let's take a look at the before and after, and then I'll take the questions. All right, quite change, so prepare. Before, after. Let's take some questions. So where are the I'm Istebraks? There's none. Were the eyes likely an issue with copying and flipping one half of the face? I see this a lot in the community. Possibly, Titan. Very good observation. When you draw one eye and you're about to flip it, I mean, I'm a little bit, you know, I promote the liquefy, I promote lasso tool, but guided. I promote dodge tool, but cautiously. I've never promoted flipping the canvas. And that's because I want you guys to be able to develop an instinctive awareness of when something, especially a face, is asymmetrical, because one of these days you're going to go back to traditional and you're not going to be able to access that. And I don't want you to be too dependent. Everything comes with a good balance. There's no one side or another. There are those traditional Puritans, and then there's those overly dependent photo bashers on digital media. And I want us to be in a nice sweet spot in the middle. And don't flip your canvases. I mean, sorry, don't flip your eyes. Don't flip them. Don't use a mirrored image. Don't mirror the eyes, because it's just, it's not a skill. It's not a sign of skill. It's a sign of dependency. Liquefy is not a challenge of your skill. Lasso tool is not a challenge of your skill, because you still need a knowledge background to pull those off. Whatever the correction is going to be, you're going to need the knowledge for the correction, right? But flipping the face and making it mirrored on the other side so you don't have to render the other half is a sign of weakness, and I don't want my students to be that weak. So don't flip it. Try to draw the other eye. You can flip the canvas though, so try that. So let's take a look at some questions. Istebrak popped my art cherry. Oh my god. Can you flip the picture? I feel there is something off. Sure. It's the eyes. It's definitely the eye problem. There was just too much to correct. I'll correct the eyes in a second, but at least they focus a little bit more. This one is just a little bit lazy. The eye is circular. I wanted to go back and draw the Photoshop perfect stencil of the basic brush, but I didn't have time for that. But at least it's a little bit more focused than where it was before. Do you see what I mean about the lips? How they are more gradual now than just two cartoony tails? Do you see the nose? I've covered all of this in the nose tutorial. Every last little bit of this. Do you see the sides here on the temples and the eyebrow? Your light was going all the way around. If you wanted her to have more deep set cheekbones, you can try that. Mine became a little bit of a chunker. So, do you recommend any Photoshop tutorial for tools like Liquefy, etc.? I pretty much cover every single video. I cover the name of the tool that I use. I don't have any one YouTuber that's good with Photoshop that I can recommend. I try to stay away from recommending YouTubers. I don't know what they're up to. I don't know who they're like and what they're like. And I just don't recommend. That's why on my webpage, I'm on my homepage, I don't have any recommendeds. I have this one channel and Bob Ross. But that's all I have. Like, I don't have anything else to recommend. But there are so many YouTube tutorials out there. The more you expose yourself to Photoshop, the more you'll learn about it. And also, if you watch my videos, you'll also know what I'm talking about as well. Should we always have a reference when doing the 14-day challenge? I covered that in the other videos. I'm not going to answer that here. Is there a general guideline for how dark we should be making the eyebrows? Depending on pigmentation. So here she's become a blonde. If she's a brunette, they go much darker. But remember, they still have a halo. They're still blended on the lower half. How dark the cast shadow on the neck is? It can be pretty dark as it gets into the neck. This whole area could be a dark shadow. against the shape of the neck. That's something you can do. But as long as it's radial. Istebrak, usually make more of an edge on the lower lid. Why didn't you hear? It's the kind of eye. It's a hooded eye. A hooded eye has a more packed on padded edge, so it gets curved off. There is an edge, but because she's got a hooded eye, almost like she's half Asian or something, that's why I kept that softer. Do you recommend Istebrak? She's great. Oh, Susanna, thank you. You recommended Istebrak to a girl in Starbucks. Oh, thank you. Istebrak, how do we know if there's too much or too little detail in an area or in a painting overall? You compare it to the focal point. The focal point should be at 100% focal. That means the sharpest edges, the darkest blacks, the lightest lights, the highest saturation, the smallest brushwork, and everything from that should be a step down depending on distance. So the more distance an object is from the focal point, the more of a ratio it drops by percentage. So think about it radially. If this is 100%, out here would be like 50% of what this is. So if you use the size 1 brush here, out here should be like a size 50. I don't know how the math works. Don't ask me for percentages. Don't ask me for formulas. It should just be really, really low. Oh my gosh, she has a Howl's Moving Castle wallpaper. Yes. Yes. Studio Ghibli. How do you know what focal point to make? Well, there are rules. There are guidelines. On a face, it's always the eyes. In a portrait, it's always the face. In a landscape, it's always the route or the path of the eye or the character in the landscape. If the character's turned away from the landscape, it is what the character is looking at. It just goes on. A tile canvas, like a tiling, everything is sharp. It's like a vector. The only good tutorials are Istebrak. I've watched all the others. Oh, thank you, Salad. That means a lot. Thank you. Let's move on. So cancel. I really want to correct the eyes in that flip, but I hope this is a start for you on moving in the right direction. Let us move on. Let us. All right, I'm just waiting for Photoshop to get its shit together. Okay, this is a little more fun, a little more thematic and out there in the festivities. What we have here is a person who wanted to draw a pumpkin with a face, but they did not know how to make that pumpkin have the face. So what they did was they sketched the face they know how to sketch for the pumpkin. So this is going to be a very experimental paint over for me. But this is not the face the pumpkin should have. This feels like a, what's the name, that weeb name for it when everything is just hot and has an anime face? What's the word for it? When, you know, like a pumpkin man in an anime, he's just got that like senpai face. You know what I mean by senpai face? It's like, it looks like this, you know, like, you know, baka face. So, actually, it's more like this. That's like the baka face, you know? Anyway, it's just symbolic eyes. Thank you, Tommy. So what I've done here is I've gotten rid of the eyebrows, which are like the biggest culprit right now for that symbolicness. All right. And what I'm doing now is casting a shadow of where that eyebrow once was. So I'm sculpting it instead of, I'm going to give it like a Dragon Ball Z eyebrow right here. The Dragon Ball Z temple. And what I'm doing now is as if this pumpkin really does have like a face, but it's not like this drawn on. Because what you've done is you sketched the face, but then you used like shading that's trying to make it look three-dimensional. So which is it? Are you trying to make it look three-dimensional, or are you not? So I did that. I'm going to decrease, and this is going to be something I cover over here. I'm going to decrease the size of that pupil, or maybe just get rid of it completely. Whichever one is scariest. If you want him to be creepy, you're just going to have to shrink that, you know? You're going to have to just bite the bullet and shrink it. And then I'm trying to bring in like realistic kind of like villain signatures here for the eyes. I'm going to get rid of that little dimple, that little cartoony dimple. Did you guys see that? Did you guys see that? Okay. Going to get rid of that. And I'm also going to not give him such perfect senpai teeth. I'm going to give him some like broken teeth. All right? You're drawing a jack-o'-lantern. If I was in charge of some kind of promotional game character design for Halloween, and one of my artists that I hired, who's getting like $40,000 a year, throws this at me, I'm gonna fire them, because you're not using any jack-o'-lantern symbols. You pretty much just drew an anime senpai face on a pumpkin. That does nothing for me. That's not throwing off some sort of believable fear factor or something that is reminiscent of what we typically see in the silhouette design of a jack-o'-lantern's face. So I'm trying to here, I would fire you without mercy, all right? I don't care if it's the Christmas season or near Christmas. Family's not having turkey dinner this year. All right, that's how serious I am. So what I'm doing right now is I'm trying to create, remember the aesthetic background of what the jack-o'-lantern is, from Jack Skellington to the Headless Horseman. I'm trying to like channel that same aesthetic. I'm going to remember all of my rules here, all these rules, which is the shadow of the shape of the, right here, of the jack-o'-lantern, just like that. The shadows over here so that the eyes become a glow, which is what a jack-o'-lantern is. I'm going to try to, maybe it should have been the other way around. Maybe it should have been a white mouth and dark teeth. So let me try that. And then select inverse and get that dark-toothed smile. And there. And that'll feel a little bit more like it is working with the jack-o'-lantern, or the select inverse. Right here, this is all shadow. What am I doing? Okay, so I would fire you because you're not actually doing what this jack-o'-lantern is doing. Why did you choose the pumpkin if not for the Halloween theme, right? So if you want your kids to have turkey dinner this year, you better start following the rules. Check yourself before you wreck yourself. All right. So I'm just trying to make this a little bit more. Maybe we want to draw a little bit more sinister an eye shape right here. And listen, you don't have to use all the yellow right away. Take it easy. Breathe. You can throw in all of this yellow later with like this emanating glow using dodge tool. You don't have to make it all yellow all at the same time. Start off with a really basic orange mid-tone, just like so. It's okay, it's not going to be dark enough. But when we bring in dodge tool, we can really decide how this starts burning and which direction it's burning from. So we have more of a believable flame. Right? No outline. What's this outline for? It's either coming from one direction or it's not. The bounce light, I mean. Alright, now as for the placement, here let me give some more like broken teeth, more jack-o'-lantern-y, all brokened up. Alright, so it looks like an old lady, doesn't it? That's because it's got beautiful cat eyes, it's got these beautiful mouths. So what we want to do is start bringing in the scariness, that creepiness that is the what. What am I correcting here? I'm going to correct some stuff here on the lower half of the canvas, but wait for someone to tell me what is it that we need to correct next to make him look less like a beautiful old lady. I'm looking at this review, this preview right here, and then I'm going to, along every little swell here of the jack-o'-lantern's like ribbed side, that pumpkin side, I'm going to, so he's got like a temple going on, so that means that it does a little bit of a thingy like that. And that's just where I'm going to put the bounce light. I'm not looking at the comment section. Give me a second. Okay, and then there's another one. So I'm sculpting here. I'm not just drawing a line of where the bounce light of the moon is. I'm actually going to sculpt it in. Normal. And that means it gets more and more bright the closer we get. And one of these sides is going to have the blending. So one of these sides here, which is the side that is not ribbed. So that's the curved side of it. And that's going to just travel upward just like that. Actually, I'm going to just I'll just paint it in like that on the side of the temple. And there will be... No, I do not use a tablet with a screen on it. And for beginners, I don't really recommend those. I recommend the basic one, so you can kind of get your keyboard and understanding your shortcuts a little bit better. Okay. So all I'm doing right now is trying to show where that bounce light is happening off the moon, and then I'm going to double this layer. And one of these is going to be brighter than the other, which is going to be the farthest one out. And then this one is going to be the most lit up. I might shift all of these over into blue. Cancel. Let me see which color we can use here. So yes, I think you guys answered it, which is the beauty triangle. That's what needs to be corrected. And once we correct that, the face will look a little bit less like an angry old lady. Right, so I'm just trying to show where that moon sits on this three-dimensional object. And then just outside of these illuminations, we've got the fact that the far half of the jack-o'-lantern, which is this half here, is in darkness. So we're giving it a three-dimensional shape, just like that. And you see how half the jack-o'-lantern gets dark enough that the glow happens? And just take a look at that little preview. Look at how well it reads. Okay, so I want to make him look less like an angry grandma, so that means a much wider mouth. I'm going to grab the whole crap. I'm going to crap the whole thing. And I'm going to use that wide Jack Skellington mouth, which is a really good design choice. And that's kind of what'll make him look creepy. The reason why he looked like a cute little grandma is because cute little grandmas were once women. Because they were once women, they have a beauty triangle about them. And then when we bring in the eyes closer together, I'm not sure how I'm going to pull this off because I've got all this secondary stuff here. And a little bit lower, then again it starts to look like a creepy little djinn instead of a cute little grandma. Closer the eyes are together, the more masculine, the more scary. Deselect and then lift them up a little bit. And the whole face, you can enlarge it if you want. See? Ugh. And then we've got, blending these in a little bit. So explore what it means to design these cartoons. Explore what it means to actually bring in a believable equivalent of what you sketched. So that the realistic version of what you sketched. This little Krillin nose actually just ends like right around there. It has like a little nose, like a non-nose, but like a little bump for the nose, just like that. Maybe it could be the eye casting on itself, just like that. And then we've got the glow, the beautiful fun glow. It makes everybody happy. I'm going to use color dodge. Oh my god. I'm going to use color dodge. Which Jesus. Which is on a new layer. Okay, calm down. So color dodge. And that's going to be the glow of the eyes. There's going to be some here, and it distorts the edge it glows in front of. Okay, so then we just got to stop the scope. Just like so. Can make some smoke come out of his mouth. Some blue smoke, as if like the flame in there is starting to dim, and it's almost All Hallows Eve. That the night is almost done, and something like that. Maybe he's just smoking a cigarette. Maybe it's just a cold October night. We don't know. Right, but it's a new color. It's a new color among all of that. And a fun little trick that I like to do is bringing in orange. Oh my god, that glow on the smoke. Hell yeah, baby. It's even more believable. And it kind of starts off dim because as it cools off, it becomes smoke. All right, something like that. Okay, so before, see the cute little old lady? And that's because you drew an anime face. So when I kind of made her look old with those eye sags and the cute little missing teeth, it looked like a cute little old lady. So we gotta give it that sinister face again. There are other adjustments that you can make to make the jack-o'-lantern feel a little bit. So this is more scarecrow because of the low eyes. Scarecrows are just dumb zombies. They're not really the pack. The leader of the pack. They're still evil. They're still scary, but they're not intelligent evil. They're not maleficent. And then you've got an even bigger mouth. Oh, and I like the little dimple it made on the sides there. So it might make him look a little bit more like he can actually talk. Then there's the really angry eyebrows, which makes him look even more angry and more evil. And then there's the small eyes, which are a little bit more sinister. You can't really tell what he's doing. The smaller the eyes, the less trustworthy the character. Right, and I like this one a lot. I like this one much more. So, would still date that pumpkin. So you get the cute little kawaii mouth, Grandma. And then you've got the jack-o'-lantern, which is what a jack-o'-lantern is supposed to be. There are areas where the jack-o'-lantern's eyes would start to, because I made him angry, would start to kind of reflect on themselves just around here. The sides of the teeth might get some reflections, and that's how you really render. That's how we render. So the sides of the teeth like that, any geometry that we're talking about, which is going to add great detailing value, is going to make things look a little bit more realistic. Maybe like that for the farther ones, if he's got reflective teeth. Be a really good dentist. Okie dokie, and that's why you gotta dim one part out here. Select inverse. You kind of gotta dim the far half of the mouth so that it can look a little bit more. Notice, see that? It feels hollow, right? The mouth feels hollow. I love my job. I just love drawing. Okay, deselect. And then I'm just going to blend this away, form it into a dimple from the lower part instead. Get some of this outer color. Try to make it look less like a liquify job, you know? And then try to illuminate these pieces out here, which is not really working in my favor right now. More at an angle? Yeah, it'll make him look more evil. It'll make him look more feminine, like sexy evil. This is sexy evil. Let me show you. This is like sexy time. I look at you, I get you, and then I eat you up slowly kind of evil. See? It would make him, but it makes him look hot too. Here he's just kind of, you know, really happy to be doing his job, but this guy's really enjoying his job. Yeah, the face, the body looks flat, sure, because the character, the person who drew this, is not thinking in three-dimensional shapes. So if we were just to darken like this far half and lighten with the moonlight this half, then it would make him look a little bit more three-dimensional, yeah? And then we can get some room light out here, if possible. Now I'm going to do the before and after. Not this one, the other one. I'm going to put both of them beside each other because that old lady is just so sweet. I don't want to lose the old lady. I really, I really like the old lady version. Alright, so I'm going to merge that down, and then we're going to do a full complete before and after. Before. Which is basically like an anime character flashback, but imagined as a, you know. So this is the complete before and after now. Before, after. Yeah, it'd be cool if he was playing Cat's Cradle. That'd be hella cool. And some of the lines of the Cat's Cradle, the string is being caught in his eye light, and some is being caught by the moonlight. Alright? So please think in character. I think you can do this. It's not that difficult to just imagine the jack-o'-lantern as it happens. But if this is what you pitched me, and this was me paying you to be my concept artist and doing promo Halloween sale art for me for my game, I'd kick your ass. I'd find you and I'd kick your butt and then I'd fire you in front of your children. You need to pull from the aesthetic that's already there, and then you can characterize. So if you wanted to give him little tiny nostrils, you can give him little tiny nostrils. He deserves nostrils like anybody else does. He needs nostrils. Alright, you can give him those. This would be the side of the nostril, and this would be the background color. Okay, he needs some nostrils too. But if you can characterize him however you want after you've addressed the fact that you are working with a pre-existing design, which is the jack-o'-lantern. It's as artistic as Halloween can get. And this is the creative force of the season, and you're trying to paint something for the season, so just borrow from it. Alright, or else you're just drawing a kawaii guy. He's like, oh, senpai. Stop, senpai! The jack-o'-lantern's like, no, come here. It looks like a really pervy senpai, or some kind of guy who's eyeing his enemy down, and he's kind of like boasting away. You can give him a butt chin. You can do whatever you want. There's all these kinds of things that you can work with, because this is the evil face. And this is their grandma face, which is me copying exactly jack-o'-lantern, but borrowing too much from the beauty symbol that you had, which was too beautiful. When you kind of just do this or do this, he still looks evil. He looks like Calcifer or something like that when he gets really mad from Howl's Moving Castle. But yeah, any questions? Yes, the pumpkin's final form, exactly. Yeah, the Yamato senpai face. Hello, rape. It looks like a very rapey senpai, yeah. Maybe he's a mouth breather, yeah, maybe. Shouldn't there be more reflection of the yellow light coming from the eyes and the mouth and fingers? Yes, you can do that. I just don't have time to do that, but you can definitely do that. Would putting the eyes on more of an angle make him more evil? Yes. How about slits for nostrils? I addressed that. Would there be subsurface scattering on this type of material around the eyes and mouth where it's carved? You can if you want to. I don't recommend it because you've already got a glowing light inside coming out. So all the subsurface has already been applied, Titan. So sometimes subsurface is already there, but it's not visible because that area is already flooded in light. Do you understand? Subsurface is only visible when we're in a shadowed area. So if you wanted subsurface scattering, it would be like somewhere like out here. Do you get it? So it would be in the shadows that it's visible. But around the eyes and mouth, not really. And it definitely wouldn't be pink. That's just Dodge tool taken around. I love Istebrak sound effects. Thank you. Crap the whole crap. Crap it, yes. Crap it up. Use the crap tool. Would you do subsurface scattering on the teeth, eyes because of the inner glow? I just answered that. Good question, though. Use a tablet with a screen on it. No, I use the basic Huion H610 tablet, right? That's what it's called. Symmetry. I don't know what that means. You just wrote symmetry to me. Bigger mouth, yes. Oh, was that an answer to the question? Beauty triangle, yes. Good job. And then I'm just trying to find some questions. Will you add the dimple? How do you make a dimple? This dimple? It's not a dimple, more like the leftover of the mouth line. I have a hard time seeing shapes in very complex things. How do you do it? It's just enough form studies. Also, teaching every day helps me. Teaching alone has improved my work because I'm exposed to the form study language for so long. So I can't imagine that everyone will be as exposed as me unless you start teaching, which is why I tell everyone to start critiquing, because critiquing is teaching on the community. But as the more you expose yourself to the language of forms, the more you'll see them in complex shapes. And really, it's like you can find the pyramid in there. It's not that hard to see. And if you're into art, you're already a visual thinker. So visual thinkers are more prone to seeing these shapes, where they are. And again, you have to teach your brain the vocabulary. Your brain may be able to see them, but you may not be interpreting it when you're in your dashboard. He's got big senpai eyes too. He's got big anime eyes, and old people just don't do this. So I gotta make it. I think I got an inner Italian somewhere. So his eyes should typically be like this small. Something that size. What you did before was like full-on anime, beautiful. And unless this is senpai dimension, our eyes need to be shrunken a little bit. See that? He's just so gorgeous, so beautiful, so senpai. Okay? So none of that. There are characters with nice big eyes, like that cowboy antagonist from Westworld. Westworld Black Man, is that what he's called? The black dude, the man in black. So he's got humongous eyes, probably the sexiest man I ever have lived. But even then, his eyes are pretty small. They're not that big, and they're taking up the whole space of his eyeball, not because the pupils are big, but because of this sexy eyes right here squinting away the way they do. Okay, so he still has these these very normal eyes. Sorry, spoiler alert. It's just because of the squint that he's taking up less space. So ask yourself, is this a squinted eye that you referenced that made you think you were actually drawing a humongous eyeball, a pupil and an iris? It's not. The iris and the pupil are average size. It's just the fact that the eyes are squinting, hiding less of the white, but you interpret it as a big anime eye. PortraitStudio is on sale till the 31st. The 31st is also the due date for the Circus of the Absurd Challenge. Please join it. Sketch some stuff. I'd love to see what you guys put together. My mods and I are going to have a lot of fun talking about them. I'm going to try to make the hour last into 2 hours, maybe an hour and a half. But if my mods can attend. We're just going to have a lot of fun looking at them. I have extended the Patreon kind of goal to 1,000 patrons. So if you want to support on Patreon, you want to keep this community going and just open up my schedule if you want to, and support on Patreon, you can. I'm aiming for 1,000 patrons, which is kind of a big deal, but it's okay. It'll take a couple years and I don't mind, as long as I'm kind of talking about it every day. But thank you to all my patrons. Thank you to everyone who has already become a patron or was a patron in the past. I love you guys very much. Thank you for the support. And then if you want to join the Google Art community, remember you don't have to be a patron in order to get critiques. That's not how it's ever worked. Critique is an open resource I have for anyone who joins this community and posts stuff that's relative or irrelevant to the theme that I'm about to discuss. Today we don't always have a theme. Sometimes a theme comes up according to what people post. I think that's it. And Thursday I'm not going to be here. I might be in Canada if I decide to go. I'm still a little bit indecisive about my trip. It's just going to be like a 4-day weekend trip thing that I'm doing. But yeah, I might not be here on Thursday. Again, I'm so sorry about that. And then there's the PortraitStudio preview. Would you guys like to see it? I can probably give it 5 minutes. Who wants to see it? Who wants to see the PortraitStudio preview? Those guys who left early just missed it. Okay, so let me open it up. Abba's going to take the stage now. So, you know which one to do? Yeah? Okay. So, Abba's going to take the mic, okay?
Hello.
Sure, yeah. Did you make a video of it, or is it the full program?
No, it's the program.
Okay.
It's the demo. So I haven't put all the features on this because we're still tweaking settings and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But this is like the main gist. We still have a lot of models to load as well. But we're just optimizing each one and bring them in. Right now, the release version of PortraitStudio is like 60 megabytes or something. Mm-hmm. This one, with all the models we have in so far, is like 400. So it's still not as big as like a Photoshop, but it's still a lot bigger than the original.
Yeah, I'm so excited.
So yeah, this is let's go over a little bit over the lighting that we got here. You'll notice like pores and stuff like that on the model.
Oh my god, it's beautiful.
This is all bounce lighting, so this is like real-time realistic bounce lighting based on the angle of the light. Mm-hmm. You have the option to turn on bounce lighting from a floor. So let me just do that. So that's right from the floor.
Oh, that's so pretty. You
can turn down the reflectivity a bit. We haven't made the floor visible because we're trying to preserve like shadow quality and stuff.
When you add the floor, for some reason, in Unity, you lose shadow quality. So we've pretty much chosen, we made a sacrifice. But we will be developing working on why the floor wasn't responding properly. So we will get the floor back. We'll get all those beautiful cast shadows back, we promise.
It's just how game engines render shadows, or most of everything that's real time. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so...
I love the UI. It's so simple, right? Out of the way, big enough.
Yeah,
Is it resizable for this demo or not?
The UI, no. But this is, yeah.
Okay.
It's like jelly. Okay. So everything's a lot more organized for you guys now. Camera light, directional light, and the 3 movable lights. We saw this before. With the male and female model, you'll have the facial features here. So you can tweak all kinds of stuff.
What's the ears?
Cheeks, cheekbones,
Our modeler did a great job. He's Phasogen right now in the chat.
Yeah, everybody give him a kiss or something, because he did.
Yeah, give him a kiss, a big kiss.
He worked really hard on this.
Yeah.
And it looks great. So, really smooth. You can customize your models. The last thing we're going to be working on is the save files, which is right here. Basically, it's going to save to a little file that's like 10 kilobytes or something. And then you can share it between each other. You can upload PortraitStudio save files to the community or whatever as what you use for reference. And then other people can open it and, do all kinds of stuff. So we have a pretty big library right now.
This is just some of them for the demo, but...
yeah, we still have more to load in, but okay, this is the male. We have this face, like a...
sculpture you guys can study.
Yeah. We have this guy who looks really pissed off and bored. We got this.
I showed those already in the preview.
Yeah, we got this. This one, which I posted a video on Facebook for you guys that saw. I had like volumetric lighting coming out of his chest.
Which you guys can also reproduce with your movable lights. You get up to 3.
Yeah. We have a bunch of rocks and stuff.
We'll be bringing in more of those. I will probably sculpt some rock textures as well for my students in private and public practice. But We will be bringing in more of those.
Yeah, we got the hand. We're gonna bring in more hands as well. The low
Is the
polys.
neck rig available for this demo?
Not for the demo, no, but it's gonna be in
Okay.
the final thing.
Okay.
The low polys we have. When you click on it, you're gonna see over here you have an extra option called poses. You'll be able to go through and choose different poses for it. Same thing with the low poly people. There's different.
These are low poly full scans of actual people, which is why they're coming in so low poly. This is how this scan was made.
Yeah,
we don't have any lower polys for this.
And we want to kind of keep it planar so you guys can study the planes of a face and a
geometry.
Yeah, instead of just details. For details, we have the detailed models, of course. And then the really big thing that we're almost done with is the mannequins.
Woo!
So these are the mannequins
fully
here.
Posable mannequins, fully posable, that you can set up in any lighting that you can develop for paint over or referencing. Cameras in your power, multiple light sources in your power, main directional light is in your power. Everything is just fully powered reference generation.
Yeah, so you're going to be able to pose her and this guy as well. We based it off like muscle groups and skeletal structure, so you really get all your anatomy needs when posing these guys. I did a little screenshot of
What's she
poses.
doing exactly?
I don't know.
She's doing like a bangara or something.
How do you... Oh, okay.
Punjabi bangara.
Yeah, so I did like different color lights, but it's the same pose in different directions. So it looks really good. It's really smooth. Faz really did a good job on the blend weights and stuff. He's fixing her knee as we speak. So I wanted
you guys really quickly to go into Amazon and take a look at how much mannequins cost just by themselves. So if you go into Amazon right now, Abu, and just search art mannequin, the really high detail ones, yep, just
okay.
There. So the high detail ones, scroll down.
Where is it?
Scroll down, right there.
This one?
No, well that one, yeah, but that one's a single pose. It's $100. Scroll down again. It's those senpai weeaboo ones. I don't know where they are. It's on my wish list. Just write mannequin detailed. There you go. Right there, that's one. So that's $55 below that.
Oh, this, yeah.
$55, and then go down, scroll down to the suggested. No, click on that and scroll down to the suggested.
Maneuver Amazon.
Go down, and then right there, some of them. That one is right there. Click on that one.
This one's $80.
This one's $80. So these are doing the exact same thing. It's just it's not taking up space on your desktop. These are fully powered, just like you would have them if they were on your desktop, and you have the lighting. If you were to purchase this, which is more expensive than PortraitStudio, you would have to get the lighting prepared in your room and take the photograph, upload the photograph, or you just have it right there.
Yeah.
That's the whole point of PortraitStudio. It's the efficiency that comes with it.
Yeah, so you just pose it, you set up the lighting however you want, and then bam.
Can you change the background value in this demo?
Yeah. I added that.
So I'll be continuously reviewing these demos for you. I make it a little bit lighter gray.
Lighter gray?
Yeah.
That?
Just
Okay.
like that.
Yeah, so we have color codes here, so if you guys want to
import a specific color code, you can.
Let's do that. Let's do like this. I'm going to go over here.
No, you don't have to open it to import it.
I just want to mess with your Photoshop, that's why. See? You get the same color code, and you can actually bring it in from Photoshop to here as well. What else was I going to show? Oh, yeah.
That's for bounce light. If the bounce light is bouncing a specific color code and you want that color code again in your work, that's why capturing the exact color code is useful.
Yeah, so...
The controls are going to be a little bit difficult to get used to, but we will have a manual uploaded either on the website or that you can download with PortraitStudio.
Yeah, everything's going to be a lot closer now to like a 3D program.
Right now, PortraitStudio, is $50 because it's on sale. It's $49.99. But after the sale, it's going to go back to its original price, which is $70. Again, I'm still very, very iffy about whether or not I'll make it go higher or keep it at the same price.
Yeah, we're not sure what we're going to price it at.
I want it to be a fair price for both us, the modeler, and you guys.
So let me turn off the directional light. And then we have the movable light. So there's 3 different kinds. There's a point light, which shoots light in all directions from a single point in space. And then we have the spotlight. Change that a little.
To like a blue.
Blue?
Something detectable so they can track the direction of it. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the spotlight. It shoots light in a cone.
How about cast shadows coming off the movable lights?
Yeah, they have cast shadows. See? And then you have the umbra.
There's no cast shadows.
And penumbra from it. What else was I gonna do? Yeah, there's cast shadows.
How about that? Did you add that diffusing cast shadow slider yet?
No, I'm still working on that because of the shadow quality thing.
Oh, okay. But you can change whether or not you have fuzzy cast shadows or super sharp cast shadows.
Yeah, so right now you have the diffused fuzzy ones, more closer to how real life is. And then we have the object light, of course, which is
my favorite one.
A light that emits an object that lives. Yeah. So now you can just move stuff by clicking on it. I really like doing this. I don't know why. I'll show you.
Oh, that's so pretty. It looks like Westworld. It looks like those weird little models they had in Westworld.
Yeah.
Those drowning fluorescent lights from above. That's a beautiful, beautiful silhouette right there. A lot of people don't know how to paint a silhouette and how much detail to improve. And this is the actual measurement of how much detail to expose in a silhouette. So it's 3D modeling software and reference generation for those who don't want to learn 3D modeling.
Yeah, and you can make it really shiny.
And there is a pulsing, a weird little pulsing that's happening. That's just because when we stop moving the mouse, the picture clarifies, and then you can take the screenshot.
Yeah, so it's just optimization.
Yeah, we have to keep it. If you have the perfect computer, it won't do that. But if your computer is a little bit less than ours, or if we have it set so that it always does that no matter your computer, just wait for it to cook, and it'll be better. But because we didn't want to sacrifice the model quality for the figures and the portraits. All those other tiny little models are really, we don't really worry too much about them being low poly, but these ones we kept it, prioritize them to be high poly. So that's going to challenge your computer a little bit. If you've got a laptop with like, what did you just test it on, like 4 gigabytes of RAM?
Our laptop has, I think,
it's got 8.
Our laptop has 8 and it's an i5, but I've done this on an old i3 with 4 gigabytes of RAM.
And it's done well.
Yeah, right here I've stabilized the frame rate to go like between 100 and 120 max. So it'll just switch depending on what's on screen. On a lower computer, like a crappy Walmart computer that costs you like $400, it'll probably be like 30 to 20 frames a second, which is really all you need.
At the end of the day, it's not a video you're capturing a single photo screenshot of the reference you're going to be using it.
If you need to squeeze out some frame rate, all you have to do is disable the enhanced lighting, which is really, if you look at the frame rate here,
it went up to 120 from after when it was 80.
Make that darker, yeah. So that's 130. When I enable the enhanced lighting, it goes down
like almost half.
Yeah, so it's really, I mean, you can see it's realistic bounce lighting and all that. So it really costs performance-wise, but you can disable it, enable it. There's another like adaptive qualities here where when you move your mouse, it's all blurry, and then when you stop, you
get this noise when you move the mouse. When you stop, it clarifies.
Yeah, it's called adaptive quality. It's what I named it here. So
it's okay. That's how it's supposed to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, wrap it up.
And then you can see it here a lot as well. So you stop, it's blurry. You stop. And yeah, that's it, right?
Yep, that's it. I promised you guys an update, and it's here. I've been trying to push this in development for as long as possible, but thank you, Faz, for all the beautiful models. Thank you for your hard work. And thank you to everyone who's already bought it. You guys are the best. And the sale, I've continued it until the 31st. And you get this update if you already have a copy of PortraitStudio.
Yeah, so once you buy it...
That's it. Free updates for life.
If we keep supporting this for 40 years, who knows what's going to happen?
Who knows? Yeah.
You're still going to get updates for free. We're not going to pull an EA on you. And
there's no DLC. There's no microtransactions. There's nothing like that.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Thank you, guys. I will see you guys possibly on Thursday, if not the Tuesday after, for the Critique Hour for the Circus of the Absurd Challenge. Thank you, everyone, for watching today. Bye.